Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Modular, the Warframe Augment review series. So this week is Mag Week. You know how I do it at this point? I do modulars for each augment, then suit up for the frame at the end of the week. So her augment for the first ability pull is Greedy Pull. You can pick up this augment from either Parent Sequence or New Loca by rising to their max rank and spending 25,000 standing to be able to buy it. The augment itself is actually incredibly simple, but had caused no end of problems since its introduction, till a whole bunch of changes came in for it. Essentially what it does is it adds the ability to pull loot as well as the enemies the base ability does. The range that the items will be pulled from is affected by power range mods, and then the distance that the loot actually travels is affected by power strength mods. It's really very simple, there's not a lot to it at all, but do I think the augment's worth the mod slot you're going to need to put it on the frame? Honestly, I don't think it's worth it for the most part. Look, when the augment came out originally, it was incredible, moving loot from the entire team, no problems whatsoever. It didn't even have a line of sight on it. The problem was it was abused to an insane extent, that the amount of loot farms that popped up with a greedy pull mag at its core, feeding frames with stupid amounts of energy, effectively auto-looting the entire area for the entire team as well. Those of you that have played the game for a while will remember E-Gate, which had a greedy mag at its core. Fast forward a few months after that, and change after change came to the augment, and it puts it into the state it is now. It had a line of sight introduced to it, as well as only being able to move items for Mag herself, not the rest of the team. Now I know that sounds still kinda decent, but in practice I just don't think it works that well for the most part. I've never found line of sight to work incredibly well in Warframe. So many random things block line of sight, from enemies to pillars to the smallest thing, so it just feels incredibly hit or miss, especially with something as small as loot. Enemies are easier to deal with despite line of sight because of their size, like they're above objects for the most part, but loot can drop behind even the smallest thing that can block it, so it just doesn't work anywhere near as well. But the thing is that Greedy Pull is truly greedy now, because it only works for Mag, so for the most part, it removed the use within a team that she had before. There is still one use for this augment though. It's probably not the most interesting playstyle at all, and that is in a very sort of camping setup when combined with certain things. Camping setups in Warframe, I mean, they're not usually that fun, but they tend to be very energy hungry. And a mag setup for Greedy Pull can actually do a fairly decent job of keeping the team stocked up on energy. This requires you to either have Arcane Energize, where if it procs it will give energy to your team members as well. So even though the energy still appears on the floor to the rest of your team, you have effectively given them a double return on a single energy orb. And while not everybody has Arcane Energize, another option is the Energy Spike passive from Zenuric, which actually does pretty much the same thing as well. But to be honest, that's the only time I feel Greedy Pull's actually worth it. For the most part, because of the line of sight, and because of the fact that so many tile sets are very narrow anyway, the items are so small that often they're obscured by so many things. The introduction of vacuum on every single sentinel means that it's more effective to use that instead. Normally I wouldn't say don't use this, use that instead. But since you're going to have to sacrifice a mod slot either way, I would just use a sentinel with vacuum instead if you want to sacrifice something to pick up your loot easier, since the only reason you would use this mod is for loot pickup anyway. But the TLDR of it is, I really don't think the mod's worth the standing cost at all, and would recommend spending on another augment instead. So I hope you've enjoyed the first episode of Modular of this Mag Week. Apologise for the lack of content recently, I've been in such a good place these last few weeks, I've just been lacking on the content front. I am back now though, so expect my content levels to pick back up again. So many thanks for watching, and I shall see you in the next video.